HW, and thank you so much for watching Tone Junkie TV. Is this the boss of clean amps? I think it just might be. This is my my Fender Dual Showman from 1966. I've actually had this amp a while, and it's been behind me there on the backdrop, sort of all the videos. So you've definitely seen this one back there before. If you have sort of a keen eye, you might have seen it. What's really cool about this amp is it's an early '66, so even though it's a Dual Showman, it's got the old Showman faceplate. I guess they weren't even printing the Dual Showmans yet in early '66, which I believe is the first year of the Dual Showman. And it has this big 215 cabinet that actually has two JBL D140F speakers, the big 15-inch sought-after JBL models. And this thing is just such a boss, powerful headroom amplifier. It really has a different feel than most things I've played. Obviously, it's most like a twin reverb, no reverb in the head. But of course, we put some reverb on the profiles because Fender, you got to just put in some spring reverb. But we try to leave it a little lighter. You definitely get some of the vibe trem thing. You know, there's varying circuits over the years, and I find that vibe and trem really sort of feels different based on you know, the wattage of the amplifier. Just if you have a big fat clean compared to a little raspier one, it just the up and down just seem to feel a little more like waves, or a little more like something that can get in front of your playing. To me, the bigger the amp, the more pleasing the trem. It really just seems to float over this huge feeling as a player. But the 15-inch cab, it really differs from my twin in that these speakers are much more bellowy in the low end, and not a ton of high mids. And so that really gives you sort of a quintessential scoop sound. If you compare this to the 65 twin pack that we did for the Kemper, those will actually sound more present in the high mid-range, and part of that is the speakers that's in my 65 twin, which is down there. But there's a certain attack with 15-inch speakers that is almost slow. It's almost like having a tube rectifier compared to a solid-state rectifier. It's just the volume of moving all that extra, you know, room, all that extra stuff, matter, space. It's just more speaker to move, and miking these things up to me is actually really forgiving. The larger the surface to mic, you know, the more sort of exacting you can be with the microphones. I'm really happy. I think we got something out of this amplifier that I don't think is represented in the Tone Junkie collection. I think these are the biggest feeling clean tones we've put out in sort of the Fender way. And that leaves you a lot of stuff to do with effects and stuff, which I'm going to go through. So what I was playing there in the front was V2. This is the vibrato channel, so the less sort of mid-range of the two channels, but without the bright, you still get a very fat tone. On my neck pickup, it sounds like this. I'll turn off the delay. I just got a little reverb going into the amp. Beautiful, beautiful sound. Obviously, you can add, one of my favorite things to do is, you know, you can add just a slight, this is almost like a clon we put in here, and it actually is a slightly modified version of one of the clon presets that's in the Kemper, and it sounds a little something like this. Now you put it on the in-between thing, and you take this little clonny deal off. Now that's really cool, but you turn that little clonny thing back on. And beautiful, beautiful stuff. Now I could turn on some delay and I can get this thing. I swear, every note is just gorgeous. I'm not really playing much. Some of these notes I just hold out because it's so fun to play. It's just, every note is a real nice voice. I really like that. Now, let me jump over here so you can see what that sounds like with how we captured it with the bright switch on. And so we captured it like this. Here's VB2, another clean one, and just those same settings on the amp, but just with the bright switch. That's the in-between number 4 there position. Here's the neck. You can hear all that brightness coming through. Now you turn that clonny guy on. Sounds big. I love the counteracting the sort of brightness of B with the darker overdrive here. Put it on this, put it on the number 4 position there, and you get this sort of thing. That's sort of the John trick of the brighter, he doesn't always use the bright switch actually, but I like the sound of it. He actually uses pretty much the bright switch off on his Dumbles and, probably when he was using these old Fenders and stuff. But it's that in-between position with the clonny thing in there. It's a beautiful tone, fat, it's glorious. I'm a big fan of this vibrato channel because it's a little more scooped. Okay, so the normal channel on all these old 60s style Fenders is kind of where everybody says the tone is. That's kind of like an old thing. Everybody wants the vibrato and you want the reverb. That's classic to the Fender sound. But to get the more overdriven stuff, you kind of need the extra mid-range and the fatness that's in the normal channel of these old amps. And this one's no different. And with those big 15-inch speakers, you get a lot of the thumpy low end, which is why I would say it's a very full sounding compared to other black faces. But when you take the bright switch off, even without a mid control on some of the old Fenders, you still get just a lot of fatness. Check it out. can hear it doesn't have that big, that bright sort of thing. Even on the brighter, the bright switch profiles, you get NB3 here. You get a little more snap, but let me put on the neck too. And that's with no overdrive. So turning on that clon-like drive, now you get a little even more fatness. That's good for a bridge pickup. You can come down here and it's not too thin. Whoa, did I just switch to a telly? No, it's still the Strat. I mean, that is a fun sound to play, even on the Strat. I mean, this isn't the thinnest sounding Strat, not by any means. It's a great sounding guitar, but you know, all Strats, you throw it on that bridge pickup, it's always challenging, right? It's always a little thin. It's not quite a telly. It's like it's, you know, like it wishes it with a telly. It's like the telly's a heavyweight, and the Strat's always a little bit of you know, the featherweight class of the single coil bridge pickup sound, you know? So that can be a challenging thing, but with all that sort of extra low-end bigness from the 15s, you get a little more. Plus, at 3, at NB3, at N3, at VB3, at V3, on all those profiles, the amp is profiled at about 7 on the master. So it's really, it's much louder than you would almost ever get a Twin or a Dual Showman or any 100-watt Fender head. You would never turn it that loud unless you're like Jerry Garcia or something. I mean, it's just, but I don't know. You just, in a house, in an apartment, you can't do that. Most stages, you can't do that. So, and you're getting some extra like thickness there. If I just back this sound up, that was NB3, here's NB2. You're gonna hear how there's, the high end actually is more present, sort of the cleaner the amplifier. It almost feels like a different kind of thing, but you just get so much, you really start getting the more girthy mid-range. And this is the difference between an amp on like 4.5 and 7, you know, kind of thing. So 1 and 2 on the cleaner side for sure. And I'm playing pretty dry. You know, people who watch the channel are going to be like, hey, HW, that's this, where are all your effects? They fell off. They didn't fall off. They're there. They're all there, you know, there's some stuff in there. And of course, we gave you the, something like this amp's like, you know, it's kind of trem dealy thing. So, you know, that's there if you want that super classic thing. But That is the, we put some overdrives in tube, yada yada, but you can really, let me just show you one more thing here. What we added was for almost every profile, there's a plus and an M version. And so jumping to this, let's go NB2. Here's pretty clean. NB2, we heard this earlier just a minute ago. Pretty quintessential, big, high power, high wattage, blackface clean. Now I'm going to go to plus. Now on the vibrato channel for this set, plus actually I boosted with not a clon. I'm like breaking my own rules here. I know plus is always a clon, but we actually used an ODR1 because I just thought it was a cool voice. On the normal channel, I used like a clone kind of thing. But HW, you've already got like a clone in the Kemper now. You've got a clone style thing in the Kemper. I do, but I like making a profile. So here you go. That's with that clone. So without it, you can hear all that brightness. With it, you hear shelving of the high end, and you hear extra mid-range. Especially, you can tell it's like a clon type thing because it doesn't have that low megaphony 500, 550K type thing. Sorry, that 550K would be very high. 550 hertz type thing, but you've got that higher mid-range of the clon. We also gave you a mid-range heavy boost on the input. This is boosting around 800, but the boost isn't, it's kind of a wide Q. So you can imagine you're just, think of it as boosting mid-range between 500 and 1,000. So not really, kind of in between the clon and in between the tube screamer. It's really just like a general mid-range boost. And you can hear that extra mid-range almost gives a slight overdrive quality, even though we really aren't doing much in gain. Here's, again, back to that VB2. Now with that front end mid-range boost, which we just boost the front end going in, so it's like adding a mid-range boost on your guitar. Hear it, that's a lot of extra fatness. Now, on the more overdriven stuff, here's NB3, no mid-range boost. With that mid-range boost. Throw that on the bridge, it's going to be plenty, and that's really kind of what I had in mind for this. Single coil, brighter guitars on the bridge. Sometimes you need an extra fat thing to go to. Eyes closed, I switch to a telly. That's the truth. Eyes closed, that could pass. That could pass the telly. I always found, and this is just a bonus tip, I always found if you want your Strat to sound more like a telly, in the front end you got to get a little more juice going, because usually a little bit of a hotter pickup. You want to boost, I usually boost in the middle between 500 and 1,000, so somewhere around 700, 800 hertz, and then maybe even an extra little boost like 1,200, a little above the 1,000, like 1,200 or 1,500 or something. You do that to a Strat pickup, and you're gonna start to get, with a little overdrive, into some telly-esque territory. And hey, this'll pass, you know what I mean? You want a little bit of that country sound, you could totally. Not bad, not bad. Hey, this has been the 66 Dual Show. It's kind of like a little what's inside, and I'll play you out on kind of the not bright, fatter end. We heard some of the brighter stuff in the beginning, but this is a little bit of a fatter version of that same thing. So, I've been HW. Thanks so much for watching Tone Junkie TV. Check this pack out. There's some free ones out there. If you don't get the emails, well, you should sign up for the emails. I don't know how many times I got to tell you. Sign up for the emails. You get free profiles in your email. What could be better than that? It doesn't cost anything. And, you know, even if you don't want to buy a pack, it's in there. You know, you might as well download a free profile, put it in a folder for later, and maybe one day you're like, I wonder what a 66 Dual Showman, so early they only put Showman on the amp, with a 215 JBL D140F 215 cab sounds like. Well, it sounds like this.